What's up YouTube, this is Santo representing Neo Overlay Network, and I'm here to show you a Marincess deck profile. It's a fun cyberse water attribute deck, and it's really fun. You guys should really try it out. It's very cute, as you can see, and I want to hear what you guys think. Alright, let's get things started. For the first three, I run 3 Marincess Blue Tang. She's your starter, she's your enabler, she just starts everything, and her effect is when she's normal or special, she's the Foolish Burial. This deck really reminds me of Salamangreats because her effect, she has 2 effects that remind me of Gazelle and Foxy. First effect of Gazelle is that she lets you send a monster to the graveyard, a Salamangreat monster. She does the same, which sends a Marincess monster to the graveyard, and she's used as a link material for link summoning. She lets you excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and if it's a Marincess monster, you could add it to your hand, and the rest shuffle them back in. And it's a hard once per turn, and it has to be a water link monster to use that effect. So she is important, and yeah, I run 3 of her. And for the next 3 of those, I run 3 Marincess C Horse. She's your extender in both ways. She has 2 effects that help you extend further in your combo. So she lets you special summon her to a Marincess zone to where it points to from your hand, and that's a hard once per turn. And her other effect is when it's except for the turn it's sent to the graveyard, you could banish her and special summon a Marincess monster from your hand. So it has that. So it helps you extend a little bit further, and she is important. So you run 3 Seahorse, and for the other 3 she is Marincess Piscalis. She's also an extender because when she's normal or special summon, she lets you special summon a Marincess monster in defense position. And her other effect, except when it was sent to the graveyard that turn, she lets you banish her to add a spell, a trap Marincess card from your graveyard and add it to your hand. That effect hardly comes up because I only run Marincess Battle Ocean, the field spell, and I don't run any of the traps because they are pretty slow. And that effect does help you reoccur your spell and trap or your spell card for this build. So she is important, and she just helps you extend further. And just her and Blue Tang or any other 2, her and any other Marincess combo. So they are important. So 3 of her. For the 2 of those, I run 2 Marincess Mandarin. She's just here for the combo, and she reminds me of Spinny because when you have 2 or more Marincess monsters that you control, you can special summon her to a link monster zone it points to, and it has to be a water. So she just helps you do combo, and yeah, and that spinny effect of when she leaves the field, you gotta banish her. So 2 is fine, 3 is bricky, and 2 you just you don't really want to open up with her. You'd rather just send Blue Tang, use Blue Tang to send her to the graveyard, and she's just there for combo. For the next 2 of I run 2 Marincess Basilima. Her effect is that when your monsters will be destroyed by card effects, monsters, you could banish her for cause, and it will protect your your monsters. So that's her primary effect. Her second 2 effects. The first effect is that you could banish one of your traps in your graveyard to add another one with a different name, but they have to be Marincess. But I don't run any traps, so that effect doesn't really come up, or doesn't really come up at all. So her second effect does when she's banished, she lets you target one of your monsters and gain 600. So because the new Marincess link monsters helps you banish stuff to draw, and I guess it's meant to use her and sequence with the new link monster. And I only run 2 because you don't need the 3, and you just want to see more Marincess name. That's why I just run 2. Now for another engine, I run 3 Swap Frog and the Frog engine I run in this deck. So Swap Frogs has 3 effects. Its first effect is that you can special summon it by discarding 1 other water monsters from your hand and special summon them from your hand, and that's not hard once per turn. Its second effect is that it's a Foolish Burial as well. It sends you any frog monster to the graveyard. You will usually send Ronin Toadin. And its third effect, you could send one monster that you control to the hand and normal summon another frog from your deck. So that's hard once per turn, and that third effect doesn't really come up. You really use it for the first and second effect of special summoning it, and sending another frog to the graveyard. So it is important. So 3. And I run 1 Ronin Totem and 1 Dewfrog. Dewfrog just for the frog name, and when it's sent to the field to the graveyard, you could, or just sent to the graveyard, you could add a frog to your hand. And Ronin Totem, you could banish 1 frog from your graveyard to special summon him, and he's not a hard once per turn. And that's where you use Swap Frog and you special summon him, and then you'll go to Totally Awesome, because that does come up quite often. That's for this frog engine. Now for the 1-ofs, I run 1 Moonland Glacier, the Elemental Lord, because they're all water attributes, and when you go combo, and if you have that in your hand, you could use her effect. Her effect is that you can special summon her from your hand when you have exactly 5 water monsters in your graveyard, and it lets you discard 2 random cards from your hand, and minimum of 2 when your opponent has 1. It's its whole hand. So that effect does come up, and you gotta keep in mind that when she leaves the field, whenever she does, you gotta skip your battle phase. So yeah, 1 of her. And now for the last waters, I run 2 Kaijus, Gameciel, because water attribute, and just to destroy certain problem monsters. And you could use Swap Frog's effect to, if you have them and you don't need them, you could use Swap Frog just to discard him to special summon, Swap Frog, and that does come up more than it should. And yeah, so 2 Gameciels. For the last honorary water monsters, I run 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, because she covers all bases. She's just good in general for any rogue matchup, meta matchup, whatever. And yeah, just 3 of her. Now for the spells and traps, I run 2 Marincess Battle Ocean. Why 2? 2 because when people are running DD Crow or Galaxy Cyclone, they banish your first one, and then you will wish you had the second one. And when you do open up with 2, you'll bait out the first one. They'll always try to destroy one of them, and at least you have a second one. But it's mostly because of banishing from your graveyard, a DD Crow or a Cosmic Cyclone. And that's why I run 2, and you'll see when I get to the Link monsters, I'll get to why I also run 2. But this effect, it gains all Marincess monsters gain 200, and a Marincess Link monster equipped to Marincess cards, it gains 600 for each card. And if you use Crystal Heart for a Link summoning for your Link Marincess Link monster, it gets protection by the field spell. It can't be targeted by, or it's unaffected by your opponent's card effect. And its very first or primary effect is that when you Link summon Marincess Link monster to the extra monster zone, it could equip up to 3 Marincess monsters from your graveyard and equip it to that monster. So you will use it quite often, but it has to be extra monster zone, because when I started playing this deck, I didn't renew the cards, and I didn't read that, and and that kind of stopped my combo, and it stopped me in general. So 2 of that. And now for the 3-Os, I run 3 Silent Mining. Obviously, send a monster to your hand to the graveyard, and add a level 4 lower cyberse monster just to get whatever you need, Marincess Blue Tang or Seahorse, whatever. And the other 3, I run 3 Pot of Desires, because I got Desires, and add 2 or draw 2, banish 10, and adding draw 2 is always important. So Pot of Desires. And for the other 3-Os, I run 3 Called by the Grave. This is optional. I mean, you could add another hand trap, but I just like the versatility of Called by the Grave and stopping people ashing me, or like negating certain effect of, if they hand trap me, at least I still could go combo again. And if you have another monster, or your opponent has a monster in the graveyard, you can still use it to negate its effect. So it still has its versatilities against just any other hand trap. So I run 3 of that. And for the other 3, because my deck is going second, as you can see from the hand traps, and well, Called by Grave could go first, second, but I try to go second because I run Dark Ruler no more. Obviously, Dark Ruler no more negates your opponent's monster effects, and they can't respond to it. And then that's why I go second, just because there are when you go against heavy meta matchups that set up a board, Marincess doesn't have that ability. It could just have big beaters, up to like 2 big beaters, but that's pretty much it. And you still want to keep on playing, so Dark Ruler no more helps you in that, and that's why I feel it's important. You could run any other hand trap or lightning storm or whatever you want for this. It's just for preference, I guess. I run 3 Dark Ruler no more, and for the last 3 traps I run, or hand traps too, I run 3 Infinite Impermanence, because Marincess wave is too slow, and Effect Veiler, you could run Effect Veiler if you want, but Imperm has the second effect of when it's set, you could negate a spell or trap from the same column. So it has that, and then I'm going second, so I'll wait and I will activate it if I have it in my hand. So that's for the deck. I think it's 40. Now for the extra deck, here is where I run 2 Marincess Sea Angel. For the same reason I run 2 Battle Ocean. And she also helps you when you go combo because of where she points to. When I was running 1, that had the it was just when she's in your graveyard and you want to reuse her, you can't, because you will add some other cards with your Link Monster's effect. And when they just get banished, and I just see the need running 2 because of her where she points to, and her effect is that you could add a Marincess spell to your hand, and that's why I run 2 Battle Oceans, because I will summon her again and add the other one so I could shuffle my deck. And yeah, so she is somewhat important. For the other 3 O's, I run 3 Marincess Blue Slug, because you do the Marincess Blue Tang loop. When she's Marincess Blue Slug just needs a level 4 lower Marincess. When she summon, you could add a Marincess monster from your graveyard, add it back to your hand, and you will pretty much chain right after Blue Tang to excavate the top 3, and then you will add that back to your hand. So it keeps on looping, and yeah, that's why Blue Tang is important too, and Blue Slug is also important, but they restrict you to only special summoning water monsters. So that's why for the most part all the main deck and extra decks are water, so because of that same restriction. So 3 Blue Slug. For the next 2 O's, I run 1 Crystal Heart. Crystal Heart is a very interesting card, but I would say she doesn't really come up, but it's always good to have. It's unaffected by opponent monster effect when it's in the extra monster zone during damage step. If it battles opponent monster is unaffected by its own card effects. And when this card or Marincess monster this card points to is targeted for an attack, send 1 Marincess from your hand to the graveyard for the battle. For the rest of the battle, it can't be destroyed by battle, or nor you take damage. So you use it for the spell, the field spell, and so it gets an extra protection. But just 1 of it's fine. And for the other Link 2s, I run 2 Marincess Coral Anemone, because she is important, because her first effect, you could target 1 1500 or lower attack water monster and special summon to a zone it points to. And then second effect, when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add a Marincess card to your hand. So people will destroy your Marincess Battle Ocean. This is another way you could add it back to your hand. But like I said, certain people run Cosmic Cyclone, and I want to prevent that. So instead of getting when your only one gets banished, you still have the other one. And yeah, she's important like that. So just 2, 3, you don't really see, I don't see it as much when I run later in games. I don't see me running 3, because you can still always add the Marincess Link monsters back to your hand because of their effects. So 2 is optimal. Now for the other 2Os and the Link 3, I run 2 Marincess Marble Rock. Her effect is that you can target 1 Marincess card in your graveyard, except her, add it to your hand, and you could send during the battle, when your monster is getting targeted for a battle, you could send a Marincess back to your hand, and you don't take no damage, and it can't be destroyed in battle. So she does have that protection, and yeah, she's just 2 because the same reason. 3, you don't really see 3 at most, and you still could keep on adding or getting back from your graveyard these cards. So 2 is still good enough. Now for the 1Os, the Link 4, I run 1 Marincess Wonderheart. She does come up often because she's the main beater of your deck. Her effect is when she's when during the damage or quick effect during the battle damage calculation, she could special summon another Marincess monster that is equipped to her, and then they both could attack that turn. But she does lose 600 because of the field spell. But she is your mean beater, and yeah, she's just just to her game. And when you do combo, you will try to bring her out. And now for the last one ofs, I run one Marincess Great Bubble Reef. She's a new card that came in Eternity Code. She's alright. During the standby phase, you can banish one monster from your graveyard, and I think it's a water monster, and draw a card. And she's used in sequence with Basala Lima, because when she's banished, you could target her to gain 600, and for each banished monster, it gains I think what is it? 600. So yeah, she kind of does get big, but I'd rather just bring out the Wonderheart because she could special summon another one, and you have more board presence during your battle phase. So yeah, now for the last three, I run the last three XCs. They want a Best Dweller because you do have level 4s, and it's a water, and it gains the attack if it's pure water materials or it's attached to it. And yeah, you negate graveyard effects. So it's really good in that regards. One Bahamut Shark because I run that totally awesome, and if you can't bring him out because of the level 2 monsters you have, you can just use Bahamut Shark to just detach to special summon him. And now for the one and only, totally awesome. His effect has, I think, 3 effects or 2. The first effect during the standby phase is just a trigger effect, and it triggers during all standby phases. You could detach one material to special summon a frog to your field, and during either player's turn, it could send one frog or one water monster from your field or a hand to negate a spell, trap, or monster effect and destroy it, and then you set that to your side of your field. And its third effect, when it's sent to the field to the graveyard, it could add you on any water monster from the graveyard back to your hand. And it comes on clutch, and I wish there was that too, but that one unfortunately. So yeah guys, this is the deck profile. Hopefully you guys like it. It's very fun, it's very cute, very lowly. So yeah, this is Santos representing Neo Overlay Network, signing out.